Dividing polynomials. It helps to know how to divide this if you already know how to divide regular numbers. So with the regular numbers, you're going to have to split this up into parts, and you're going to do your long division. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to do my 15 divided by 12. I know that I can get 1 out of that, so I put the 1 above the 5. Then I take my 1 times the 12, and gives me 12. So I put the 12 below the 15, and I subtract. I get a 3 remainder. I carry down the 2 from up there. Next, I take this 32, and I divide it by 12. I know I can do that 2 times, and I take that 2, put it up above the 2, then I take it and I multiply it by 12. That gives me 24. I do my subtraction there. 32 minus 24 is, I get 8. And I carry down the 8 from here. Then I take my 88, I divide it by 12. You may or may not be able to do that in your head, so if you can't, you grab your calculator and you do 88 divide 12 equals. You get 7 point something. I'm not worried about the point whatever it is. I'm only worried about the number in front of the decimal point. That's a 7. Put that 7 up there. I now take my 7 and I multiply it by 12. Again, multiplying by 12, you might not be able to do it in your head, so you grab your calculator and you do 7 times 12 equals, and it gives me 84. So I take my 84 and I put it there. I do my subtraction, and I have 4 as my leftover. So my answer is 127 with a remainder of 4. I can write this in other ways. I can also write this as 127 and 4 over the 12 that I was originally dividing by, which that can reduce, and I have 127 and 1/3. And that is another way of writing my answer. It's a similar process over here, but we are going to take the first term divided by the first term, as opposed to what we did here. So I'm going to take x squared divided by x. And that gives me x. I'm going to write it above the 8x. I'm going to take this x, and I'm going to multiply it by that whole thing that I'm dividing by. That gives me x squared plus 4x. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to line it up. My x squared below my x squared. My plus 4x below the 8x. Now I'm subtracting this. So I'm subtracting this whole thing here. So I have x squared minus x squared. That gives me 0. I have 8x minus 4x. 8 minus 4 is 4. And it keeps the x with it. Then I carry down my plus 16. Next step. I take the first term, divide it by the first term. Same thing like I did up there. So I have 4x divided by x equals, that gives me 4. I put the plus 4 up there. It was a positive 4, because I had a positive here, and I had a positive there. So positive 4 is my answer, so therefore it's a plus 4. I take that 4 that I got here, and I multiply it by that whole thing over here, x plus 4. That gives me 4x plus 16. I take this, line it up below this. 4x plus 16. And then just like I did over here, I am subtracting that. So I'm just subtracting the whole thing. I have 4x minus 4x gives me 0. I have positive 16 minus positive 16, which also gives me 0. So my remainder is nothing. Nothing is left over here. So this up here, that alone is my answer. And that problem is done. Dividing polynomials. We have x minus 4 divided into 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. First thing you want to do is take your first term, divide it by your first term. So we have 2x squared divided by x. This gives me 2x for the answer. So my exponent is 1 here, so I'm going to put it above the one where the exponent is 1, above the minus 7x. I take that 2x, and I multiply it by the entire x minus 4. That gives me 2x squared minus 8x. Line that up. 2x squared. Notice the x squared and the x squared, they're in the same column. Minus 8x. X to the first power, x to the first power, they're in the same column. I do my subtraction. 2x squared minus 2x squared gives me a 0. Negative 7x minus negative 8x. Let me write that down over here for you so you see what's going on. Negative 7x minus negative 8x. I see the double negative here. Change that into plus a positive, and that gives me 1x. So I have 1x. I carry down my plus 3. I take my first term, divide it by my first term. So I have x divided by x. That gives me 1. Is it a positive or a negative? we came up with a positive 1x here. So we wrote it as a positive 1x there. I carry that plus sign up to here, plus 1. I take that 1 and I multiply it by the entire thing here, x minus 4. And that gives me x minus 4. Write that down here. I have my x to the first, they're in a column. My constant in the same column as my constant. I'm going to subtract. I'm subtracting the whole thing. So I have 1x minus x gives me 0. I have 3 minus negative 4. Minus a negative, remember that changes into plus a positive, and I get 7. So my answer is 2x plus 1 with a remainder of 7. Not the best way of writing it. Better way would be 2x plus 1 plus, because that was a positive 7 there, 7 over the whole x minus 4. X minus 4. That is my answer. There's nothing else I can reduce there, so that's done. Next problem to work on is over here. We have an x cubed and a constant, but no x squared, no x to the first power in there. We need to make up for that. So think about what you would do with that before I get my board erased. So the x minus 3 goes out on the front. The x third, x to the 3, goes as my first term, because that's the highest exponent there. I need to have something there for the x squared term. What can you multiply by something that gives you a 0? Nothing. You multiply a 0 in there. So I am going to add 0 times x squared. For the x to the first power, again, I'm going to multiply a 0 in times x. And then I'm going to carry my minus 27 in here. So you need to have all of the powers in there. So since my highest power is 3, I must also have 2, I must also have to the first power, and I need also to have my constant. Now that I have that, I can start with my division. I take my x to the 3 divided by x. Let me write that over here. X to the third divided by x is x squared. That has an exponent of 2, so it goes above this one. I take that x squared and I multiply it by the entire x minus 3. That gives me x cubed minus 3x squared. Line up my exponents in the same column. So I have x cubed minus 3x squared. X squared in the same column, x cubed in the same column. I'm going to subtract this. So I have x cubed minus x cubed. Gives me 0. I have 0 minus negative 3x squared. So 0x squared minus negative 3x squared. I have that double negative there, so that's giving me a positive 3x squared. I bring down my 0x. I take my 3x squared, first term, divided by x, first term. 3x squared divided by x is 3x. That was a positive, so it's a positive throughout. So I put a plus sign there, and I take my 3x up here. Now I take my 3x that I got, and I multiply it by the entire thing here. Three x times x is 3x squared minus 3x times 3, 9x. I take this and I line it up with that. So I have 3x squared minus 9x. And I am subtracting. So 3x minus 3x gives me 0. 0 minus negative 9x. 0 minus negative 9 is positive 9. And then I carry down my minus 27. I need a little more room to write, so I'm going to erase some of my scratch work. I can erase that too. I want to take the first term divided by first term. So I have 9x divided by x. I get 9. It's a positive 9, so I put plus 9 up there. And handwriting does count, so make sure it looks like a 9. I take that 9 and I multiply it by the entire thing here, x minus 3, and that gives me 9x minus 27. I take this answer, line it up over here, 9x minus 27. And again, I am subtracting this. So I'm subtracting the whole thing here. 9x minus 9x is 0. Negative 27 minus negative 27 . Again, I have that double negative, so that makes it a plus, positive. So that ends up with 0. So I have no remainder here, so my entire answer is up here at the top. And it is x squared plus 3x plus 9. And this problem is finished.